felt so important, Andrea.
I know. You should, man. You really should.
My last name's Kirkland, so I forgot who it was. One of my friends started calling me Captain Kirk. Like William Shatner. I'm still an asshole, but much bigger asshole 15 years ago. Yeah, because you're going to edit it anyway. Yeah. Austin Kirkland, and I own Big Gun Burger. I was born in Florence, South Carolina, which is 2 hours north of here. I actually grew up in Darlington, South Carolina, which is a very rural, kind of automotive upbringing town. It's where the Darlington 500 NASCAR races. I grew up in a neighborhood on dirt roads, tobacco fields, cornfields, farm ponds, a lot of bass fishing, brim fishing. Actually, my dream when I was a kid was to be a professional bass fisherman. Didn't pan out, but I still like to fish from time to time with my brother.
He's like a whale. He's like a whale.
Well, my grandma would give me cookbooks from the local church that she attended. It was a Baptist church called Mizpah. And I guess all the ladies at the church would collaborate with the recipes and they'd create like a church cookbook. And I remember being a kid and I would go through these cookbooks and I just thought it was so cool to cook. You know, it was something I wanted to do. So I basically picked out the easiest thing for me to make in that cookbook, which was barbecue sauce. And I think the recipe didn't require the barbecue sauce to be cooked. So it was just kind of like mix it up kind of thing. So I would make barbecue sauce, and then from that recipe in that cookbook, I started tweaking it a little bit and doing my own thing. And I would actually take barbecue sauce and then I would dump out Heinz 57 bottles and I would put my barbecue sauce in there, take the label off, make my own label, and then I would just bury it in the yard somewhere. So I don't know why. I thought it was like almost like a time capsule kind of thing. But yeah, those bottles are still out in my parents' yard somewhere, like petrified barbecue sauce. But yeah, that was the first thing I started to make as far as a food item when I was a kid. I'm gonna make a classic burger. So we sell more of these than anything else. I mean, a really busy night would be 60 burgers. And that's just burgers. I mean, we have other things on the menu too, but a beef patty, American cheese, onions, pickles, and Big Gun sauce. The Big Gun sauce is kind of like a really good Big Mac sauce.
911, what's your emergency?
My hands are clean, by the way. Just watch. When you're making burgers too, you want to use a really good bun. There's nothing worse than like having a really shitty bun when you're eating a burger.
This is how you eat a Big Mac. Cause what the
And the bottom of the bun, when I mean shitty, like the bottom of the bun can't hold everything and it gets really soggy and thin. So we get these buns from a local bakery. I've been using these same buns for years. They're really good and they're sturdy. And it's like a brioche style bun. And I basically put like a ball of meat on here. Yeah, just press it down. And then salt and pepper. So we use ground chuck, a black Angus ground chuck. It's 80/20. And that does make a difference. I mean, if you spend more money on your beef, it's going to be a quality product. If it's too fatty, it's going to render out a lot of fat, and your burger that started out this big is going to shrink up. This seems to be, the 80/20 black Angus ground chuck seems to be the one for us. I like using a flat top too. The flat top, you get that nice crust on both sides of the burger. Whereas like if you char broil it or put it on a grill or something, I mean, that's got a good flavor too, but you don't get that sear, that crust on the outside. So, all right, this bun's done. So, see that nice crust on the outside there? Put a couple of slices of Nothing special, nothing fancy, just American cheese. Just 2 slices of American cheese. American's a really good cheese. Melted, that's my opinion. I mean, by itself, it's good, yeah, but I think melted, it's got a really nice consistency. But you don't want to over melt it, because if you over melt it, it just falls off the burger. So there's a fine line there. That's perfect. I think that's perfect. Real thin sliced onions. I'm not a fan of a huge slice of onion, real thick slice of red onion. I think just a little thin sliced onion is all you need. And then this is the big gun sauce. So ketchup, mayonnaise, a little barbecue sauce, Worcestershire, salt and pepper. Just put a couple of pickles on there that we make here in house. This is a fry seasoning too. I got inspired by Checkers. The fries. Yeah, the seasoned fries at Checkers. So good. So we have our own seasoning for the fries.
Yeah, I smell a little Old Bay in there, man.
Yeah, there's definitely Old Bay in there. I'll tell you, it's just Old Bay, chili powder, smoked paprika, and I use Lowry's too. Lowry's, this stuff right here, seasoned salt, and just a little bit of sugar, like not even enough to know it's there really. So that's the Big Gun Classic Burger. Yeah, actually, the barbecue sauce that I was making when I was a kid, my parents thought it was so good that they would give it to their friends, and it just made me feel like I was the king of barbecue sauce in Darlington County. But that barbecue sauce recipe, I still kind of base my barbecue sauce off that recipe. So what I make now for the restaurant is pretty close to that recipe. I was working at a sign shop and I actually got fired from there because I was stealing money out of the vending machine.
It's like a reward.
And I was down and out, didn't have a job. I was 19, and this girl that I knew was a general manager at this restaurant, which was the nicest restaurant in Florence at that time. It was called PA's Restaurant. And this was like 1997. And she asked me if I wanted to wash dishes because they needed a dishwasher. And I turned it down. I was like, there's no way I want to be a dishwasher. That sounds horrible. And then she talked me into it, and I needed the money, and it was, at that time, like $9 an hour, which was pretty good. So I took that job and kind of got the feel of being in a kitchen, and I just thought it was so cool. And all the guys that worked in the kitchen were cool. It was like it was like kind of a late night shift, getting off at 11 or midnight, and everybody would kind of go out, hang out afterwards, and I just thought that lifestyle was kind of cool at the time. But from there, I started to make salads and make salad dressings and make cold items during service, and then slowly just moved my way up to work at a saute station, work in the grill station, and I stayed at that restaurant for 3 years. And then the lady who owned the restaurant wrote me a letter of recommendation to go to Johnson Wells. I wanted to get out of Florence anyway. I wanted to move, so I got accepted to Johnson Wells here in Charleston and moved down here in 2000 and went there. And then I finished in 02. Then I left and went to Asheville, worked for a caterer up there. Came back in 04 because I wanted to run my own catering spot, and I learned the ropes working for him, and I had a little cash, started up a catering company here, and that lasted 7 years. This is such a brunch-focused town. A lot of people love to eat brunch in Charleston, so and there's a lot of great brunch spots, but I think for people that come here, sometimes they just want to stop in on a Sunday and grab one of our brunch items and not go to some fancy place. They just want to sit at a bar and eat chicken and waffles. So.
Well, la-dee-da. Vapor and everything.
So, just a little flour with salt and pepper. Just egg wash. And this is actually cornflakes that we just grinded down. Make sure it's coated on there really good. And I kind of just like press it in, make sure it's on there really good. There's nothing like a good fried chicken sandwich. We just put this on the menu. It hasn't even been on the menu that long. Once that toast up, we're gonna put some pimento cheese on there. So we make our own pimento cheese. I mean, I remember being a kid, my mom would pick up a tub of Ruth's, or somebody's grandma had a tub of Ruth's, which is pretty disgusting. I think it's American cheese and mayonnaise pureed together, basically. But then, people started making it with really good cheddar and mixing other cheeses in it and stuff like that, which is what we do. Just take some of this pimento cheese here. I'll just spread it on the bottom of the bun. Nice little helping. I try to be creative, but at the same time be simple, and just make food that people can relate to. And I don't know. I mean, I enjoy people getting super creative and introducing ingredients that really a lot of people haven't heard of, or people experiencing things like that for the first time, which is really cool. But I guess for me, I like to just make traditional things, stick with the basics, but do it well. Fried chicken sandwiches and slaw go hand in hand. So put some of our slaw on there, right on the top there, and a couple pickles. I wanted to have a restaurant. That was my goal. That was my dream. The catering company seemed more feasible to do on a tight budget. So I started with that. But through those 7 years, I still wanted my own restaurant or my own bar. Really, I wanted my own restaurant at that time. But financially, it just wasn't doable. But when I sold the catering company, it gave me enough money to open this. But it was still super tight budget. And then when I opened this, my vision was to have this restaurant, cool burgers, cool small plates. I hired the chef, and we were putting out what we thought was pretty cool food. But it just wasn't really doing anything, and we didn't have an identity. And I've always been a fan of music, so I started booking shows here, which I wanted to do anyway. And then once I started booking the shows, then these people kind of started coming in on a regular basis, making this their spot. All these like punk rock guys and people that hang out in the underground scene in Charleston. And then it just kind of morphed into what it is now over those first 3 years. And then I just let it kind of go. I mean, I wasn't really restaurant focused anymore. I kind of just let it become this D.I.E spot with good food. Mudhoney's a great band. They actually, that band, Mark Arm from Mudhoney, is the one that coined the term grunge for a genre of music. Just like this late 80s, early 90s grunge band, they're still together actually. And Mark Arm is they were on the Sub Pop label, but he's actually the warehouse manager for Sub Pop.
That's
when he's not touring with Mudhoney. I thought it was gonna be just this cool, like, almost kind of like a pub with just really good food. Like kind of like a gastro pub, I guess, but just more burger focused. But like any restaurant, I mean, you try things, they don't work, you kind of figure things out, and then the things that do work, you keep them, and that's what I've done over the last 8 years. You got to be here a lot, and I have been guilty of kind of neglecting the business and staying away just because it was driving me so crazy and stressing me out. And we do stay up until 2 a.m. So we have this like big drinking crowd late night, which is another challenge. But you know, I kind of just, if things felt like they were getting a little out of control as far as my vision, I would just let it go. I would just let it do its own thing. I kind of let Big Gun, after a few years, kind of take off and just do its own thing and have its own life, and let the people kind of like make it what it is. Having that vision initially and it kind of getting away from you and becoming something else was a little stressful at the time. So, but I think I just figured it out in my own head to just let it be what it is. So, as long as people are coming here and people are happy and they're eating my food and they're drinking and this is a spot they like to come to, I'm okay and I'm happy. My personal life is so different versus what it was before I opened this place. I mean, before I had this and I had the catering company, I wasn't friends with all these people that I know now through Big Gun. Maybe a few, but 99% of them I didn't know. And opening this place downtown Charleston, and then it becoming what it is, and then especially with the shows and the music we've had over the years, I've gained a lot of friends, and yeah, my social life has definitely changed over the last, since 2011. For the better, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty happy with, you know, what's happened. So, I mean, yeah, in 2011, I went through a divorce, and then I started dating again, which was weird. I hadn't done that in 10 years, 12 years. And doing that in your mid-30s was, and having a kid was very strange. But I wouldn't change it for anything. I mean, I'd say 2012 through 2017, I was bartending a lot, 4 or 5 nights a week, so I wasn't really home at night. And she was pretty young through those years, like 8, 9, 10 years old. So a lot of babysitters and whatnot. But you know, being a father, you gotta push through and make that priority. So I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. You got to find a balance between, you know, being up here late night, running the restaurant, and you know, being a father or having a family. I guess it's like any job, really, you know, but it's the night thing. So being up here at night, you lose a lot of time with your kids, because at night, for the most part, that's when you spend time with them, because everybody's got work and school during the day. But yeah, you just gotta find that balance. I mean, I feel like I have done a good job with that. So I'm still really involved in her life, and that's priority over this place for sure. I mean, that's number one. So as long as you make it number one, have a good relationship with your kid, you know, everything else will fall in place. This place is really, yeah, it's changed my lifestyle for sure. But for the better, I think. I really enjoy all the people I've met and all the friends I've made and all the relationships I've had. So yeah, it's pretty fun. The Thin White Duke is actually David Bowie's nickname. One of his nicknames. Was one of his nicknames.
Welcome, nice to see you.
Thank you.
I mean, for the most part, if I'm up here and I'm working, I listen to David Bowie, I'll listen to Depeche Mode, I'll listen to Mudhoney, Circle Jerks, Radiohead, Ministry, Primus. So this burger's got bacon and mushrooms on it too. So, I mean, it's just more fun to call a burger the Thin White Duke and not just a bacon mushroom Swiss. There was one band I had to listen to, or one artist I had to listen to until I was dead. It'd probably be David Bowie or Jane's Addiction. I kind of like the all the drippings from the burger and the bacon fat, because this is kind of angled down. I don't know if it's because of the floor, the reason, or just this piece of equipment, but and all the drippings kind of go to the mushrooms. All right, so you just put the caramelized onions on there first. So I kind of heat those up a little bit. And then we'll put some of these mushrooms. See how the drippings are just going down there and helping cook these mushrooms? Soaking up all that fat, all that goodness. This bacon's nice and crispy now. Crispy enough. Put that on there. Same deal. We'll just melt it with this little cover. So we'll put that right here. And then we make this horseradish mayo that we put on the top of this. So it's but we get this really hot horseradish from the Pepper Palace on Market Street. It's called Nasal Napalm, and it's literally the hottest horseradish I've ever had. So we use that just because the flavor is so strong.
Who the fuck said that? Who the fuck?
We're not so much a cocktail place. I mean, we'll make vodka sodas and gin and tonics and all the sodas on the gun and all that. So, but this is that kind of spot. But as far as, it's more of a beer spot, I guess. We're more like beer savvy people. But the food especially is got to be consistent, because if it's not, then you're going to get mixed reviews, and then people are confused and they're like not really thinking of your spot to go and eat. The food's got to be consistent, and it's got to be good, because if it's good, then that word will travel, and then you get more people to come. And but I gotta say, I've been guilty of letting the food slip away and not paying enough attention to the kitchen. And I've hired people in the past that have gone back there and completely wrecked all my food and everything I've worked hard for. But at the end of the day, it's my fault for not being back there enough. But lately, I've been back there a lot more, so I feel like the food's gotten a lot better, and I think my team has definitely noticed and stepped up the game a little bit as far as their work ethic. So my biggest accomplishment, well, first, having a daughter who's done really well for herself. So that's up to this point, she's 15, but that's my biggest accomplishment. Number 2 is keeping this place open for 8 years in downtown Charleston, because it's super cutthroat. Restaurants come and go. I mean, every month there's a handful of restaurants that close and open. And so being here since 2011, and here we are 2019, and it's pretty stapled in. A lot of people know about us, and we're still here. So that's a pretty big accomplishment, I think. Having a goal and reaching that goal, and not losing sight of the goal, rather, and not giving up. I mean, I think that's what success is. I don't really put success in the realm of like finance or anything like that, but work your ass off and be open-minded. Listen to other people, because other people's opinions do matter. Not all the time, but you got to filter through and figure out what's important. But I mean, if you got a good idea, I think it's just in general. I mean, if you got a good idea, just stick with it and don't give up. I hear so many people like throwing ideas around, or they start something and then they just don't finish it. If you're gonna do something, do it and finish it. Just don't give up. It seems like such a shitty feeling to just give up when there's something you want to do. I guess people just feel like they can't do it, but really they can. You can do anything you want to do. You just got to work hard for it. Doing something you like and sticking with it and doing it as well as you can. But as far as happiness goes, I think I've got to having things in your life that make you happy and keeping those things in your life. I think that's what's made me happy. So relationships, having this business, just doing things that make you feel good about yourself. I want people to remember this place, remember Big Gun, remember it for the food, for all the good times we've had here at night. I mean, there's been some legendary shows here, all the music we've had. We've supported a lot of local bands over the years. And yeah, I guess I'd just like to be remembered as like a guy who really busted his ass and worked really hard and created some cool stuff. So, yeah. My name's Austin Kirkland. I love punk rock and I love making burgers.